everyone, it's Justine and we're going to be creating some 5-minute wedding invitations today featuring So Susie stamps for the part 2 of the wedding featurette. In part 1, I showed you how to make some really simple invitations that you could use for bridal shower, thank you cards, save the date, or if you're doing a very simple wedding, you could use them as wedding invitations. These wedding invitations here are a little bit more intricate. They take 5 minutes, but they're easy to make and I'm going to show you step by step how to make them. On my blog, I'm going to have all the measurements and everything listed and the link is in below. So you're going to start off with a piece of standard cardstock. So this measures 8.5 by 11, just like a standard piece of computer paper. Now to score, I said before, you could actually use a ruler and a stylus pen to do this, or you could use this type of paper trimmer that has a score feature in it. Score just means you're making like a dent in the paper or a fold line. So you're going to put it on the long side and you're going to score it at 1.5 inches. And then you're going to put that 1.5 inch score line at the 4 3/4 inches. So pretty much you're at 6 1/4 here, I believe. And then you're just going to go all the way down and make that folding line. So that was on the long side, the 11-inch side. Now we're going to turn the cardstock. It doesn't matter which way you turn it at this point. And you're going to do a score line at 2 inches. This is going to create the pockets where you're going to hold your wedding information. In this video, I didn't show you how to make the wedding information cards because you can really just make them on your computer and print them out and cut them out. Alright, so now you have this paper, you've got all the fold lines there, and you're going to end up cutting out a piece and then just making a cut line. Now, how you're going to do that, I'm going to show you right now. So you want the paper to be this way with the 1.5 inch score line on your left, and you're going to line up the middle score line here, and you're going to use the cutting feature and cut from the bottom to that 2-inch score line, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I'm planning on doing a little diagram on my blog. I hope I don't forget to put it on there, and that should be good. Then you're just going to cut out this tiny bottom square that you have. So now you're going to have your fold, your pockets, everything's going to be done. And all you need to do at this point now is reinforce your fold lines. Now I apologize for the tape you're seeing as a square around my work area. Normally my camera fits just inside that, so I know where to put my hands when I film, and I guess it just zoomed out on me. So I apologize for that. But anyway, not the point. We're just going to go in and reinforce these fold lines. Now you can use the back of the scissors to create a really nice crisp fold as long as the handle on the scissors doesn't end up rubbing off the color of the handle, if that makes sense. If not, you can use a bone folder. You'll find these cheap at any craft store. So you're just going to go in and reinforce all of those folds. So now you can really see it come to life. You have the 2 pockets here and you're going to be able to fold it over. Now I noticed here that it didn't quite fold over too well. So you may, depending on how you cut and folded it, have to trim just a tiny, tiny piece off of the side of the pockets with your scissors. This is only if it's not folding properly. I also noticed that on the side without the flap, so the side that's folding in here, when I folded my flap over, I also needed to trim off a tiny, tiny piece, like less than 1/8 of an inch. See, it wouldn't fold there, so I had to just trim a piece off there. Overall, that's going to be the most work you have to do for this tutorial, is just cutting this out. I always recommend doing an assembly line with your bridesmaids. It can be a lot of fun if everybody gets together, has a glass of wine, and makes these invitations. So you can have one person, for example, doing the scoring, one person doing the folding and maybe cutting out that bottom part and that bottom little square, one person doing the stamping, and one person gluing them together, for example. If you do it in an assembly line, you're going to get a really, really fast way of doing it. So right now I'm just putting some glue. It's double-sided tape. This is a red tape that you'll find at most craft stores. It's like heavy-duty tape. And I really like it so that your wedding invitations don't end up falling apart, but you could use liquid glue. The point is, though, is to just glue on the sides so that you can fit something in this like a pocket. So you just need on both sides here, on both sides of the panel. So you're going to put it on the other one as well. I'm just going to speed you up here so it doesn't get boring. All right, so for the next little bit, we're just going to trim off the tape there, and then you're just going to take the red part off of the tape, so that's the sort of exposes the double-sided tape. It's not too hard to take off as long as it's really stuck down to the paper, the glue part of it, so you can see me rub it with my finger and then take it off, and then it's not so bad, but you need someone with fingernails to do that one. So any bridesmaid with fingernails, not fake nails, can definitely do that. So then just fold up your pockets, and now you've made the pockets. These are going to fit your wedding invitation, maybe hotel information, your RSVP card, possibly the menu that if you have a food choice at your wedding, things like that. You can make those all on your computer super easy. There's a ton of templates available online that you can just cut out and stick in there. You may want to mount it onto some cardstock though first, so it gives it a nice strong background, but sort of a backbone, I guess you could say, to it. Next up, I'm just taking a stamp press. Now you can use a CD case to attach your stamp on it if you don't have one, if you're not a stamper or whatever. And then you're just going to use this flourish stamp from So Susie Stamps, and you're just going to stamp this, and I used khaki ink from Simon Says Stamp. So you want an ink that is similar in tone to the cardstock that you're using. Now, of course, you don't have to use this craft cardstock, this brown color, for your wedding if you don't want to. I just wanted to make something really neutral. You can use the color of your wedding, like purple or pink or blue or green, whatever you want. Next up, I'm just going to stamp the From This Day Forward stamp onto the front. And you might think to yourself, well, that looks a little funny because the fold is folding over and it's covering half of it. So why would you do that? And the cool thing about this wedding invitation is it's kind of a little bit of a surprise. You won't see the actual From This Day Forward until you take off the thing that's holding the invitation together, if that makes sense. This bride and groom stamp from So Susie Stamps I'm using as well. And I'm just going to attach it, and this time I'm not stamping the whole stamp, I just want those flourishes from her veil onto the card. So I'm going to decorate the corners of my invitation. Now in total, these invitations would require you to have one piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, about one piece of patterned paper for every 10 invitations you make, one piece of white cardstock for every 10 that you make, and one piece of extra cardstock that you're using the same color as your card base, and probably one for every 4 or 5 that you're making. I'll put all those things on my blog, but I'm just showing you how inexpensive it is to make. You just need a couple of sheets of paper, and you would need the stamps. So the stamps themselves are very affordable, and of course you could end up selling them to another friend that's maybe getting married if you're not going to use them after that, or of course you can keep them and help make your thank you cards with them. You can make your save the date cards with them by adding the save the date sentiment. It's super, super easy. I'm just going to toss the wedding invitation off to the side there, and now I'm just going to create my wraparound. So I just cut this out. It's 11 inches by 2 inches, and you have to make sure that you have 2 fold lines so it wraps around, and the front of it has to be 5 inches. So it doesn't really matter if they're uneven or anything like that at this point, but the front, so you'll see in the middle there, has to be 5 inches, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to grab some of that red tape again and stick it on the end of one of these, the end of the panel here. I'm going to take that off, and then I'm just going to attach it. So this is going to be the wraparound that holds the invitation together, really makes the actual invitation really stand out. So you'll see that front piece has to measure 5 inches. Your pattern paper is going to measure 5 inches by 1 3/4 inches. And then you're just going to glue that on. You can use a glue stick for this, liquid glue, whatever, just as long as it's not like dollar store cheap quality glue, because you don't want it to just accidentally pop off in the envelope when it's being mailed. And you're just going to stick that down. I'm just using a piece of pattern paper from Paper Crate. Again, you can go out and find your own pattern paper at any craft store. You'll find lots of different options, and I just created a neutral option here. Again, you could use your wedding colors or whatever. I also took a piece of white cardstock, and I cut that at 2.5 by 2.5 inches. And I'm going to be inking this up here using khaki ink again, but this time I'm going to be stamping the bride and groom. Again, you can stamp this in any color ink you want. You can really make these your own. So I'm just pushing hard on that, and then you're going to get this awesome impression. So that white piece measured 2.5 by 2.5 inches. The patterned square piece that I'm putting behind it is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And the cardstock, this one here, measures 3 by 3. So 3 by 3, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then the white panel is 2.5 by 2.5. So they're all just 1/4 inch smaller than each other. And that's so that you can get a nice frame around the pattern paper and around the cardstock. So I'm just going to line these up in a diagonal. You could do these as a square instead of doing it like a diamond like I am. That would be absolutely no problem. I just thought it gave the card a really nice look. And I'm just going to hold that down for a minute until it's dry. And then I'm going to put a kind of a big blob of glue, since I think this panel, if people are opening and closing it quite often, might get a little bit abused. So I put a nice amount of glue in the middle there, and I'm just going to hold it down with my fingers here until that is dry, probably about 10 seconds or so. So now you'll see how the wraparound fits nicely around the invitation and also hides that from this day forward part. And I think it creates such a great wedding invitation. Again, really easy to make in an assembly line. Probably would take about 5 minutes once you really get going and get the hang of it. All right, so I just wanted to show you the wedding invitation once again. You're going to open it. Open up the panel from this day forward. You've got the 2 beautiful pockets here. Again, just print off what you need. It would be super inexpensive if you did it yourself. Tons of templates online so that you can create your own wedding invitations, and whatever you need you can customize to be in there. That's why I didn't create it this time around. But I have a video that I'll link to below where I did do that, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so here is another one that I made in gray. Again, you could have easily made this in purple, pink, whatever. I think this gray would have been really, really beautiful if the wraparound had a hint of color in it, either with that stamp or in the pattern paper, or you can leave it neutral if you just want them nice, plain, and elegant, just like this one. So those are the 2 wedding invitations. I hope you enjoyed them and you have some inspiration for making your own. In the meantime, I have a giveaway going on, and I'm going to draw some names on Friday, October 2nd, 2015, and you just need to leave a comment below just telling me why you'd like to win this. And again, you could use that circle bride and groom stamp as well for your wraparound, as long as you have a circle cutter. I don't recommend cutting that out by hand because circles never work cutting out by hand. Anyway, all the supplies used are linked to below in the video description or on my blog. If you are planning on shopping and grabbing these stamp sets for yourself, I would really appreciate if you shop through the links. I am an affiliate, so it means I make a small commission at no cost to you if you click on those links. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. You can click here to visit my blog and supply list up at the top. Click on the video to see my last wedding invitation video, and on the right you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much again for watching. Have an awesome day, everyone.